my kids aren't on social media, but they're hearing this podcast. They're hearing the conversations that I have with others. They've heard a year and a half worth of my content go out. And I now have a 14-year-old and she stands more confidently than I ever could have at 14. And I was like, you know what? I wish I was you one day. And she looked at me and she goes, I am this way because of you. And it was one of those moments where I was like, I don't even realize that there's 4 lives in my own house that listen to me. They're not on that social media metric, but they're watching their mom go for her goals and achieving them. They're my biggest cheerleaders. They're the first person that is going to be like, Mom, you got this. Let's go. Or they're the first ones to wipe my tears when I'm upset and angry. They're like, we've got it. It's a we thing.
Hey friend, and welcome to the Feel Good Social Podcast. I'm your host, Kinsey, and I'm here to help you market your business in a genuine way that works without wasting your precious time. So sit back, relax, and enjoy some genuine conversation for the good of your biz. Hey, my Feel Good friend, and welcome to the Feel Good Social Podcast. I'm your host, Kinsey, and I am so excited to share today's guest with you. Her name is Stephanie, and she is just a really awesome woman who has been helping moms and other entrepreneurs find efficiency and build your business in a way that aligns with your lifestyle and the way that you do work. Stephanie shared so many awesome tips with us. I cannot wait for you to tune in. So if you do enjoy this conversation as much as I did, make sure that you share it with another business friend who could also use to listen to it. And why not leave us 5 stars or a friendly review on whatever podcast platform you're listening to us on, because it really will help us to continue spreading our feel good message. All right, let's go ahead and dive right in. Hi, Stephanie. Thank you so much for coming on the Feel Good Social Podcast. I'm so excited to have you on the show, lady.
Thank you for having me. I'm so honored. Thank you.
Yes, and I did already introduce you just a little bit in the intro, but I'd love to hear from you. Who are you? What do you do? Who do you serve?
So I'm Stephanie. I am a business growth strategist. I work with female entrepreneurs, especially within the health and wellness industry, to grow and become client magnets that just have clients coming to them all the time on autopilot. Because most of these women are moms. And so their main focus is, yes, they want to make money, but their other focus is that they have kids. So they're running and going and doing all of this, but still want to be that active mom. I help them be able to handle the mom life with the business life and put it all together without having to feel like you have to sacrifice one for the other.
Yes, and I love that so much. I know we were chatting before I hit record, guys, and I am always so freaking impressed with mompreneurs. I know how much hustle there is in just like online business in general, and then you layer in family and all the different calendars and things that come with kids. I'm like, wow, like props to you guys. So I'm so glad that there's people like you who are helping people specifically do that. So I would love to know, like, how did you get started doing what you do? What has your journey looked like, lady?
So my journey started, I was in the middle of the pandemic and I was homeschooling my kids. So I had all 4 of my kids home. We had started homeschooling the year before. So it wasn't because of the pandemic that we were homeschooling. We chose to do this before anything happened. So I electively chose to pull all my kids and bring them home with me and teach them myself. And I had lost my cousin 2020, and he was somebody who avidly believed in small businesses. He was somebody who is one of my biggest supporters, but always said it was this idea of giving to others. He would always try to give to especially kids in the next generation. And so I felt, you know what, I can't let his ripples stop with me. I wanted his impact to go further. I had always wanted to be a business owner. I wanted to be able to work from home and be that like dual parenting and be home with my kids, but make money. I said, you know what? Today is the day. I'm done. I'm not waiting for tomorrow. I'm going to just jump full force into this. I started a fitness business and was doing okay. I was making it work. I was homeschooling during the day. I'd work in the afternoons and evenings, and kids would be involved, and they were just part of this whole process. I wanted to get bigger. I wanted to grow the business. I wanted to bring my mission that our health starts with us. It's an internal thing, and that what we take in really affects us. So I wanted to go bigger with my mission. I started my podcast after a friend was like, you're already doing this. You need to go bigger, go worldwide. Let's do this. Take on the world. And I was like, you're crazy. Like, you've lost it. And he's like, you're already doing it. You just need to go beyond the realms that you're giving yourself. I was going to, again, just jump full force into this concept. And I started my podcast. And then 3 months later, I wrote my first book. And 3 months later after that, I wrote my second book. And my second book was the one that went bestseller for me. At the same time, my podcast was growing exponentially. And by the point that my book went bestseller, my podcast was in 15 countries. And I was just like sitting there going, oh my goodness, like, this is what I can do. This is my possibilities. But a lot of the people who were coming to me were not coming for health tips. Noticed a lot of my friends didn't want to go to dinner with me anymore. They didn't want to go to lunch with me anymore because they were afraid that I was judging their meals. And I was like, I don't care what you eat. Like, guys, this is not, because my job is this, does not mean we can't go eat. I am a foodie at heart. I love food. I'll be the first one to tell you I love food. But a lot of my friends were coming for business strategies. Like, how do we take this? How do I grow? How do I grow like your business is? And I want to go further with my business. Strategy calls were happening. And I was like, you know what? I feel like health is not where I'm being pulled, but strategy is. The end of 2023, I had started my second podcast with a friend of mine, and I had a huge pivot in my business. I left the fitness industry and went into business strategy, where I full-time work with other people to grow their businesses outside of social media.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. What a story. And congrats on your books, lady. I feel like we have such similar just like stories. And I love hearing that you just took the plunge and kept taking action. That's literally such a huge part of my own story too. And I thank myself all the time. It's so funny. I don't know if you feel this way, but I always think about how I could look back on the things that I've done on so many different like little things and bigger things that I've done in the past where I wasn't qualified, where I didn't exactly know what I was doing, or now I know a way better like way to do something or whatever, but I did it. And could it be cringe? I wouldn't be where I am now, and I wouldn't know the things that I know now if I didn't just take the plunge, keep moving forward, keep taking action, because that's how you progress, right?
I honestly say it was one of the greatest decisions to just jump. These were all things that I wanted to do. I always wanted to own my own business. I always wanted to be an author. Like, I've been told since I was a little kid that I loved reading. My wording was always great. Like, the way you explain things is always wonderful. Like, I love reading what you write, is what I've been told since I was in elementary school. And so it was the things that I was just like, okay. And I love talking to people. So podcasting was super easy. Everybody laughs. They're like, why were you not in podcasting before this? I was like, because I don't know. I didn't think it was like a thing. And I thought you needed big equipment and managers and sound studios. And like, I didn't have that. I didn't have that whole thought process. So I was just like, I'm out. And realizing that I can do this with kids, with the sound stadium and studio, and do all these things just because I have an innate want and a nature to just do. And so I was like, I am thankful beyond belief. I just stepped forward and
jumped. Oh my goodness, totally. Okay, so let's talk about a few of the things that have been really helpful for you, maybe in your journey, and or that you just are sharing now with your audience. What are some of those helpful go-to things that you love to share?
Social media is not the only place you can grow your business. Like, that is one of the biggest things that I have learned. I was trying to do all the trends and, oh, you got to dance for this one. And I tried all the things and tried to be on every platform and every social media and all the things. And my brain would I was exhausted. I was worn out just from putting out content, let alone actually doing anything within my business. And so once I stepped into the idea that, okay, I can publicize my business and produce outside of my business with my business outside of social media, my whole perspective on marketing and my whole perspective on my business was totally different. I started the podcasting in the book, and it was two ways that I learned, okay, people are coming from the podcast because they're listening to me. They're trusting me. They're believing me. I'm letting them in to a part of my life that, you know what, you're going to hear the kids in the background. Right now you won't, but later, like at any given point in time, you probably can. And it wasn't going to be perfect and staged. You see, I've got boxes, I've got things, and there's kids, and life was still happening around me. And I wanted people to understand that you can do it too. Doesn't matter if your hair is wonderful. Doesn't matter if you've got the perfect background. It's the action of doing that is more important. And so the podcast was just one of those things. And then I was looking at, what am I handing my clients already? What am I giving them and teaching them that I can then put into paper copy that when I'm not in their face, they still have me there. And that was where my books came from, because it was a nutrition guide. And then it was a 90-day reset. So it's 75 hard, but I was doing it for your personal self of resetting your own body and your mind. And so I was like, when I can't be there, I want them to have some other version of me. And whether that's written or audio, now they have both. And it gained me so much expertise. I became the expert in those things, and people sought that out. They wanted the expert because I had a podcast, because I had a book, because one of my books went bestseller, because of X, Y, and Z. I gave myself badges, if you will, that I didn't even know were a thing. I didn't know. Like, you look at it and you're like, so many people will only hire somebody with this degree, or they want to see the piece of paper. Okay, I don't have the piece of paper, but I have X, Y, and Z else that can help you. And learning that outside of social media is a great place to grow. And when I was doing a lot of my stuff, I was starting in the middle of the pandemic, and people just wanted connection. And I learned at the heart of everybody, we just want to connect. And so whether that's in a podcast or an event, like that's the other thing I tell people too, is I'm like, do events, do live in person, get people in the room, because then they get to see more of you. They get to see who you connect with, how you act. And that shows so much more than what a pretty picture on social media can show, because you're going to see the scattered moment of me, or you're going to see the massive foodie that doesn't get pictured because I'm too excited about food. You get to see the different parts of the people. And then it was one of those, I started creating relationships, and those relationships turned into friendships, which turned into word of mouth, which turned into more business, which is the ever evolving of those things. And so I really encourage, one of the biggest things is you can utilize social media alongside these things. Don't put all your eggs in one basket there and say, this is how I'm going to do it only, because there's other options.
Yes. Oh, and I love that too. Yeah. We were chatting a little bit before we hit record, guys. It's so funny. Feel Good Social is the name of this podcast and my business. And it definitely has this kind of social media focus, but it is definitely like that community. And it's really more so about feeling good. Like, I have struggled with this too, right? So much of social media is about the vanity stuff, the vanity metrics, the showcasing who you are online and stuff like that. But the vanity metrics don't drive that deep connection. And I have to remind myself constantly that there are so many more priorities in my business that do more to boost my success and move my bottom line than spending 5 hours creating Instagram posts, right? Like, I remind myself that, yeah, my podcast is more valuable than my Instagram. And it's not that I'm not showing up on Instagram, but it's like I'm going to prioritize my time putting out podcasts or writing my email newsletters or doing all these other things before I prioritize Instagram, and Instagram will be what I have left over, right? So I've been playing around with the concept a lot of just keeping the lights on Instagram, showing up in a way that's valuable and showcases who you are, but the goal isn't necessarily to go viral, right?
Absolutely. I love your wording of keeping the light on. Is that, yes, it's a connection point. Like, I still come on my stories occasionally. I still put up a reel, or I put up a post. Like, yeah, I still do stuff, but it's not my end all be all, because I was the person who the numbers drove me mad. My mental health was tanking because, well, I wasn't going viral. And why was this person going viral? And how come a cat video is getting more views than my actual content that can change your life? It was like, What if you're in a room with 400 people? So if your post gets 400 views, what if you're in a room with 400 of your ideal client that was ready to purchase today? What would that do for your business? Are you ready for that? Are you ready for a room of 400 people? And I was like, yeah, I'm ready for that. And I want that. Yeah. It gave me a whole new perspective over like the views of I went viral. Could I be ready? I don't know. Probably not. I will be full on honest with you that I don't know if I would have at earlier stages been prepared to go, okay, yes, I can handle 1,000 people coming at me. I'd be like, no, I cannot. I can't. But now if you put me in a room full of 1,000 people, could I make an impact? That's a different conversation. Could I inspire them to move? Could I inspire them to go, to take action? That's different than, are they my ideal client ready to go? That is two totally different conversations in my mind. But when I approached social media in a different way like that of, I'm going to come to share my information. Take it, leave it, love it, don't. That's not on me, but it's here. And I'm going to utilize it as of getting the loud message out and funneling people through to then have the 400 that see the message take the next step. And those 400 can then become the 10 that choose to join the coaching or join me on whatever capacity that they choose. But it has to start with the wide, bringing it down to the few that do resonate and understand and need me to help them.
Let's take a quick break.
Do you want to create more Instagram Reels but get stuck on what to post? I hear you. That's why I'm excited to share our new free resource, the Reels Prompt Playbook for ChatGPT. This playbook includes 20 ready-to-use AI prompts for Reels, hooks, and captions, and makes it super easy to create trendy content that grabs attention without spending endless hours scrolling Instagram for inspiration. Whether you want to share behind the scenes, offer quick tips, or tap into the latest trends, the Reels Prompt Playbook has you covered. Download your free Reels prompt playbook at DIY.ai/Reels. And the best part, these ChatGPT prompts are designed to work for entrepreneurs in any industry. Plus, you can pair these prompts with any trending audio or any video that you find on your phone. Basically, they're super easy, super quick, and will keep your content super authentic while saving you loads of time and headache. Grab your free playbook now at DIY.ai/Reels and start showing up on Instagram consistently today. Yes, I love the point that you brought up there too about Instagram is just a part, just one small, tiny part of the big picture of your business and the big picture of your content strategy. And it's totally top of funnel. And I like also thinking about the difference between the way people consume content too. And this is something I constantly remind myself, like, what the heck is it about Instagram that like sucks us in and makes us think it's the most important shiny object out there? But the way people listen to podcasts is so much more personal. You have so much more of their attention when they're listening to podcasts than like scrolling through reels on Instagram, right? And so every week I'm constantly reminding myself, like, just create a few reels or do what you can and put it out there and try to make it as good as possible and then let it go. And also don't waste much of your mental energy on this stuff. There is something so much about numbers. And I love that you brought that up too. You said you were talking about the qualitative metrics that we can't really solidify in like the concrete metrics that Instagram shows us. But remembering that every single post that you put out there, like maybe one person sees it and sends it to their friend who need to see it. Maybe your post makes, or your podcast or whatever it is, makes that one person tell their friend about the word of mouth stuff, the qualitative metrics of building trust with people and like relatability with people and building the engagement of your audience. That's stuff that we don't necessarily measure, but it's there and it can do so much more to really boost the success of your business too.
I always say it's souls, not sales. If we're focused on the dollars, we're missing the point. I'm a person that like, you're here for a reason. If one person can be helped by that podcast episode, I've done my job today. One person turns into 10, turns into 100, and we can continue to watch the pay it forward thought process that all it takes is changing the life of one person. And that one person can then go tell others. and then they tell more, and then it continues to grow. But it also is one of those things like my kids aren't on social media, but they're hearing this podcast. They're hearing the conversations that I have with others. They've heard a year and a half worth of my content go out. And I now have a 14-year-old who is a girl in the world of 14, and she stands more confidently than I ever could have at 14. Mm-hmm. And she told me, and I was like, you know what? I wish I was you one day. I wish I was you. And she looked at me and she goes, I am this way because of you. And it was one of those moments where I was like, I don't even realize that like there's 4 lives in my own house that listen to me. They're not on that social media metric. They're not a part of that, but they're watching their mom go for her goals and achieving them. They're my biggest cheerleaders. They're the first person that is going to be like, Mom, you got this. Let's go. Or they're the first ones to wipe my tears when I'm upset and angry. They're like, we've got it. It's a we thing. But if you're here for the money, cool. I get it. I get that concept. But if we focus on the souls that we can change, the millions can be easier to obtain.
Wow, girl, I just got goosebumps. That makes me so happy because here's the thing. Can we talk about mom guilt for a little bit? Because I shared this with you before we hit record too. We're considering starting a family ourselves over here. And like, I love seeing women like you show up and live your life and do the thing with your kids, seeing that like, yes, like this is inspiring and like changing kind of the status quo of what motherhood means and showing that this is good for our family, for our kids. This is like making an impact in our lives in so many different ways. So I don't know, you tell me about mom guilt, lady. What are some of those things that we all need to hear if we do have guilt in our businesses like that?
Balance is an illusion. First one to tell you, balance is an illusion. Like today, I'm recording and they're doing chores, they're hanging out, they're reading, they're playing. I'm not like in their face today, but come tomorrow, I'm going to be in their face. Like I'm going to be full mom mode because guess what? For the next few hours, I'm going to pour into my business. But later on tonight, I am at the gym with both of my girls, giving them nothing but my attention. And my husband has the boys. And so it's not just mom guilt that you'll face. It's also spousal guilt because there's many times where I have to tell my husband, you know what, I need to do this podcast tonight. And he has to be like, all right, there goes our 2 hours tonight, you know, like, and understand that, you know what, come Friday, I'm all his, right? I put my business down on Saturday. I am full mom on Saturday, but it makes me better in all the places. So it makes me a better business owner. I have a motivation that is stronger than anything. I have a built-in cheer squad. I have a built-in support system, but I also have built-in honesty. Like they will be the first ones to tell me that was awful. You need to fix that. Or what are you doing? Because you look ridiculous. Or my husband is very honest about like, this isn't working for you. You need to pivot. Something like that. But sometimes the honesty comes and we have to swallow the pill that comes out of their mouth. And you're just like, yes, great, love it. But it also made me a stronger mom because I had to understand that like failure isn't an option. Like there is no such thing as failing because it's lessons learned. And the things that I teach my children are what I'm teaching myself. And what do I want them to consume? What do I want them to take in? What examples do I want them to have around them? If I want them to be around me, I need to be around. And so it made me a better mom, a better spouse, because now I feel like I have more purpose because I didn't just become a mom. I didn't just become a wife. I was a person well before both of those titles ever came to me. I had goals, I had dreams, I had aspirations, I had wants. And just because I gained a title doesn't mean I have to put all that down. It means that I get to carry those titles and still be the person underneath it. It taught me self-love. I have to love myself and understand that, you know what, there's an off button to this woman because without me, this house can't function. My business can't function. My marriage can't function. I am an integral part just as much as my kids are and my husband is to other things. Like we all are integral in our own parts. And so it's taught me so much to have this business and be a mom and be a wife and do all the things. But mom guilt, it's a hard pill to swallow. Spousal guilt is a hard pill to swallow. The thing that helped is, yes, balance is an illusion, time blocking. So I will literally sit down and I wish I had a picture of it right here in front of me, but I take my week, I put all the like non-negotiables in there and I mark them in red. They're non-negotiable, cannot change, will not change. I need to be active and a participant in this moment. That means my own self-care. That means feeding my children. That means bedtimes and all of it. Like all the things that are non-negotiable. Sports are, I call them flexible negotiables because they need a ride, but I do not have to actively participate. That is time where I can sit down and create content. I can post. I can take a phone call from the car. I can go grocery shopping. I can do all things in that moment. And then the blue spots are the ones that are open. And so time blocking has really put a big relief in that so that I know, okay, 2 hours of heavy work. Give me this time. I've created stuff for you guys to do. Here's your stuff. In 2 hours time, we're going to meet back up. We're all going to come together. We're going to have lunch. We're going to do something. And then I'm done for today. They can see it. I can see it. And we all understand that I have to get stuff done. The more you interrupt mom, the longer this is going to take. And so then we all get to our work, we all come back together, and we have the rest of the day. It's been a huge help to relieve that ability so that I don't have to feel bad doing something. But they also are very proud of me for doing it.
Oh, wow. So much to mull over in that. I love it so much. I love the not just time blocking, but really getting real about priorities and like what actually is the negotiable or the flexible negotiables, as you said. I love that so much. And honestly, too, this is why I'm just so always in awe and love like mompreneurs and stuff like that, because it's not just like moms. It's like you are such the pinnacle of what all business owners should aspire to. And we can all learn so much from these different things and letting go of the guilt of just life in general, right? I love that so much, lady. Can you please share with everyone how they can connect with you? What resources do you have? Tell us all the things.
My website is probably the easiest. That's going to be the quickest place to get in touch with any free content, any classes going on, or like coaching programs. And my podcast are all on the website. So that's stephaniepolcyn.com. I couldn't make it any easier for us. StephaniePolcyn.com is my website. So that's going to be a great, easy, quick place. Otherwise, IG will have my other stuff. That's at Steph Polcyn. And you can get anything there or message me and I will send it right on over to you. Freebies that I have right now, aside from the podcast, which is called Amplifying Your Business, I have a content to cash planner. So it's actually an easy way that I walk all of my clients through of creating a year's worth of content that you can use for social media, podcasting, all the places in under an hour. It's super awesome. And then it also has the time blocking information in there. If you're looking for that one, I definitely sit and talk over that a lot. It's a passion of mine to help moms or other business owners because it helps for others too. But that is also available there too.
Oh my goodness. Thank you. Thank you so much. I've so enjoyed our conversation.
Thank you for having me. I loved it. Thank you.
How great was Stephanie, you guys? This conversation was just so fun and inspiring for me, honestly, as a regular entrepreneur now and a wannabe mompreneur, hopefully in the future. I hope you enjoyed the conversation as much as I did. And if you did, make sure that you share it with a business friend who could also use to listen to it. And while you're at it, why not leave us 5 stars or a friendly review on whatever podcast platform you're listening to us on? Because it really will help us to continue growing and spreading our feel-good message. All right, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week, and I'll catch you next time I catch you. Thanks so much for listening, my friend. For show notes and a whole lot of other awesome freebies, visit feelgoodsocial.com. Simply go to feelgoodsocial.com for all the goods.